I have a question to the device which I have to choose at the beginning of the project. I have a project in the old Calypso where I have to, I started with a mobile device, MC65 from Motorola, and then I grew to these devices, smartphones, and now I want to go with the same application to
version 4.
To tablets. It's a bigger scale. So, I manage it to make the controls with different forms very small, that they scale up the way I use it on tablets. And now I saw in the new version, when we start a new project, we have to say which scale we want. Device.
No. It's exactly
I saw
the same
device
thing on version 3.6.
Pardon?
It's exactly the same thing that you saw on version 3.6.
If you create an application and you select smartphone, you can install this exact same application on a tablet, and it will run, and it will scale. Yeah. Yes, it will scale. It will be huge. It's exactly the same way in version 3.6. You created a version for Windows Mobile, and you put it on an Android tablet, nothing to do one thing with the other, and Calypso would scale your application to a tablet. I don't advise you to do this, because if you have a small screen like a smartphone or Windows Mobile, you don't have much space to put controls. If you have a tablet, you have a lot of space for controls, so you probably want to rearrange your application when you are on a tablet, okay? But it will still, resize for the tablet, like in version 3.6.
So it's the old version of Calypso which do not allow to make libraries. So now we can make libraries and make different surfaces.
So yes,
yeah.
So we have an application, okay? Portuguese guys know it, it's MSS, but it's basically applications for sales teams, okay? To register orders, etc. And this application is for tablets. Now, we want to make this application available also in a smartphone. So what will we do? We will use the project link. So we will create a project that does all the logic of this application, all the invoicing, all the digital signature, because now you have to digitally sign an invoice, all the printing, all the logic will be in this project. Then I'm going to create another project for tablet. In this project, I'll make user interface for tablets, calling the functions from our engine, yes? Then I make another project that only has user interface for smartphone and uses the same engine, okay? So I've divided MSS, this application, into 3 projects. One with the engine, one with tablet user interface, one with smartphone user interface, okay? But both user interfaces use the same global functions.
Is it possible to let them run in one version? So if I deploy it on mobile phone, this is another scale factor. Or if I deploy it then on a tablet, does it scale to does it use the right scale?
No, we will be creating 2 different applications.
So I have to deploy 2
APKs.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if you know this, but when you create an APK for Google Play, there's an option there that says, okay, this I only want it for tablets. And then I put another APK and I say, Google, this one I only want for smartphones. So when my customer goes to Google Play and searches for my application, if he's inside the tablet, he will only see the APK for tablets. If he has a smartphone, he only sees the APK for smartphones. Okay, so the user only sees one APK, one application to install. But we created 2, okay?
More questions?
Yeah?
Push notifications are not available for Windows Mobile, right?
No. Windows Mobile and CE, no.
Is there any...
But this is not something that we created ourselves, we invented. This is a technology that Google makes available to us in Android, and Microsoft makes available to us in the Windows 10 Universal Platform. Windows CE does not have push notifications. When it was created, the concept didn't exist. Okay? So it doesn't support it.
Do you have any workarounds for the old version? We do not have to discuss it now, but I need it on that devices, so can we later talk about that?
Well, if the application on the Windows CE device is running, Well, there's a very easy way to do it. Your server inserts a record on the database. Your application has a timer. Select every 2 minutes. If it finds a record, though, it's only the message I want to display to the user. So that it's a workaround. Yeah.
Debugging, sorry. Debugging with components. If you link components and you make debugging, is it possible to debug through the customer or the...
Well, that part isn't quite finished yet. The idea that we went for the debugging part is if you are debugging with a linked project, then we want to show you everything in the trace. Also for the linked project, because you have the source. If you're using a component, it's compiled. You do not have access to the source code. So if you're running a component, you will not see, because you don't have source code, you won't see debugging. Well, if the component has a message box, the message box will show, okay? Yes, or maybe the debug action, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Maybe make the debug action available for components, but not the others. Okay.
Next question.
When you use a link project, if you made an alteration to the link project, what happens? Everything changes in that project.
Well,
all projects that use that link will be changed.
So let's give an example, maybe it's easier. So this project we made here, we had a linked project with a calendar in a form. In the main project, the only thing I did was show form. You can change the form in the other project however you want. I only want to show it. As long as you don't change the name of the form, you're good to go, okay? You just recompile and done, okay?
Will the actual projects in 3.6 will upgrade completely to version 4?
Yes. So if you open the new designer, file, project, open, select an old project, done. Ready to go. It's converted.
Let me just complete this answer because there was some questions during the lunchtime, okay? We do not change the behavior of the old project. So, for instance, we do not apply, of course, the pixel ratio, okay? We just change what we need to make it run on the new version, which is Calypso 4, exactly in the same conditions as version 3.6, okay?
Yes, and we also have customers. Today I talked with a customer that told me how I'm still using version 2.4. Wow, that's really old. Well, you can open it in the new Calypso Designer. It will convert all the way until the new version, okay? So you can open any Calypso project from any version, okay?
In version 3.6, you had an optional voice component.
Yes.
Because you had to pay it. Now you add the new voice component. I suppose it's not the same.
No, that's not available in this release. It's something we're working for the July release, as Annie told us, okay?
Yeah, I understand.
So there will be two things. It will be the voice as it existed, because we need to keep compatibility.
Okay.
What we will try to add is, if you have an Android, it has voice recognition capabilities. It can speak to you. So we're just going to call Google API.
Yes.
If you're running on a Windows, we're just going to call Windows API. Okay? So if the device you're running, the operating system has speech API, voice APIs, we are going to call them, so you don't have to pay for runtimes in those cases, because it's just using what the operating system has. Okay?
About another question. Do you expect to develop in any way source control in a future version of Calypso? Because it's really important for teams.
Well, it's a concern that several of you have already had with us. It's not as easy as it might look, because in Calypso you don't put code. So it's very hard to extract.
You have to have two versions of the code. The binary file you have, and behind it a text version to put in the source control. But
yes, we are thinking in doing something in that path.
Yeah.
Because there's one thing that you already can do. You can generate documentation. I don't know if you've ever gone to project print documentation. It will create you a file with all the code that you have. This is a PDF, you can copy paste, but yeah, it's not that good. So we are going to basically do something similar to this print documentation, but into a format that you can get the code easily, okay? A readable format for the code, okay?
Restorable, most of all.
Not restorable at this stage. So what you have is like two files, the binary file and the readable file, and you have to save them both, okay?
I asked George already, but I think more people want to know it. I have a version 3.6, I think 10, 20, 30, with a lot of terminals around the world. How do we update to 4.0 without getting all that terminals back? I can write something in 3.6, of course, and do it in twice, but...
That's not an easy question. Well, it's something we have not documented very well yet, something we've not tested very well yet. So if it's for Android, you generate a new APK, yes? So it's quite easy. So if it's for Windows, we have a new option that's the generate executable. That's new. I can send this executable to the file, to the device somehow. I just have to find a way of Calypso 3.6 now creates a new shortcut for the new version, okay? There's also some other ways, and this already existed in version 3.6, but I've not tested, but I'm like 95% sure, without testing, that you can use for Windows. So, this already existed in version 3.6. Imagine you have version 3.6 installed, and you find a bug in Calypso, and you send it a fix. The kclient.exe, you have the same problem, yes? Well, you can update it. Yes. You have to do it manually. You can say get file from PC, you get it. You put it on the to-PDA folder on the device, and then you call one function we have there, restart Calypso. If you call this, Calypso will say, oh, there's a new executable file. It will get it and self-update the executable. So you can probably already do this for version 4. I have not tested between versions, but because the other DLLs are the same, it will probably work. Okay?
I'd like to ask if it's going to be possible to add personal code on the on-error event. Like, for example, instead of giving a message box, to insert the error code into a table.
Yes, that's something that has been discussed and will be possible. We are not sure yet of the format, if we're going to allow you to call always a global action set and you put it inside whatever you want. That is not defined, but that's one of the ideas. You're going to go to your project properties and say, oh, on error, I want to call this global action set.
And one more question. If it's going to be possible to create objects programmatically.
Well, that isn't foreseen whatsoever for the moment, okay? So I'm not saying that it will never be possible. I'm just saying we didn't even study it as strategy for that.
Okay, thank you.
In every language, we have constants. How do you deal with that? For example, when I go to plane something, and if current plane is, I have to note the number and not the name.
Yes, we have that on our wish list.
Okay.
To be able to identify current plane equals to plane X, like a variable, that's on the wish list.
Okay.
So that one is already planned.
Okay, thank you.
It's discussed how it's going to be.
Can we make vertical and horizontal auto-adjust app with Calypso? Okay, when we are making building an app, it's always in the same orientation.
No, once you select that it's available to rotate, you can select the default orientation. Yes.
And it adjusts all the controls?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Arsenio is reminding us correctly that there's two ways for you to, for the application to adjust. There's an automatic way, okay, which basically applies a mathematical ratio. So if your screen is this size and now it's this size, it's going to grow all the controls and move them according to the difference of size. okay? But there's a better way, at least we think it's a better way, which is you can actually design the interface in both orientations. So, yes, it's your decision. Yes, I want the auto mode, that's enough for me. Or no, I don't like the auto mode because it shrinks too much or whatever. So I want to actually be able. When you say it's manual, you go to the project properties and say rotation management manual. Calypso gives you access to a little button on the ribbon now that says rotate. And when you do it, you see how it looks in both rotations, in both orientations, and you can specify the position and the size of the controls. This is available in version 3.6, by the way.
That means you can have two orientations, portrait landscape, designed by you. Okay, not by second.
So in the first, I can put different controls in different orientations.
No, they always exist, okay?
Okay.
But one of the things you can do is we have the rotation event, am I correct? So you can put things, you can detect the orientation, put them visible or invisible.
Okay.
It's even easier, okay? If it's in manual mode, you're talking about manual mode, yes? So I put it in portrait, I put my controls. I rotate it, landscape. Oh, I don't want to show this. Okay, so you can just put it width and height 0.
Okay.
Well, it's invisible.
Yeah.
It's there, it exists, but it's invisible.
The same thing with less code.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw some configuration about the push notifications for Android. Is there something for Windows, like the ID and?
For Windows, it's easier. You don't need those IDs.
Okay, it's automatic.
It's even easier. You need to register, but then it's easier. Because the client ID identifies everything you need.
Okay, just one last question. We can save a form to use in other, like a template. Okay, then we
Yes.
can push it back.
Yeah.
I can save the code embedded in that.
No, that's just for styling. For what you're trying to do, the best thing would be the project link, actually.
Okay, all the code in the.
Or something that we are going to create that's also in the documentation everyone received, which are libraries, which is a very similar concept, but a little bit different. Going to also allow you to pull it in or allow you to do like the project link, which is just link, okay? But in the present day, you can do it with project link.
In design, there is no way to redo and undo any fault.
No, but again, not like the other feature I said that wasn't planned. That one is already been discussed. We already know how to do it. So unfortunately, it will not be in time for July 31st, but it will be on the next version for sure.
Okay.
That's a promise.